Northeast Unitarian Universalist congregation, and greetings to those watching this service remotely, and that's you too, Santa. This is a welcoming religious community, and we are so glad you are here. I am Allison Lamoth. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I have been a member of this church since March of 2023, I think, and a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association since 1999. I'm delighted to welcome you all here today. It is so good to see you all here, whether new friends, longtime members, or returning folks, and be together this holiday season. We welcome everyone to this home of comfort, spirit, justice, and hope. We are Unitarian Universalists. And please join and sing a song that we all should know, Jingle Bells. And the words are projected on the screen. Well, we all know it, right? An important ritual in the Unitarian Universalist faith is the lighting of our chalice. Can I have someone come light? A young person, or young at heart? Oh, that is Nathan. Okay. Unitarian Universalists have many different interpretations of the flaming chalice, including the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. If you're watching elsewhere and have a chalice or candle, please light it now as we all join in saying the unison words projected on the screen. With peace in our hearts, together we feel the light of hope. May the dispirited be met with the joy of community. I think it's that. Oh, pardon me, there's another hymn. And this is, Let There Be Peace on Earth and Let It Begin With Me, and the words will be projected on the screen.
Okay, kids, we got we have our reading for today. Our wisdom time for all ages is Home by Another Way, a Christmas story by Barbara Brown Taylor. Okay. And we don't have the pictures big on the screen, but we have them small here. So says Matthew 2, 1 through 2. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." Once upon a time, there were 3 very wise men who were all sitting in their own countries, minding their own business, when the bright star lodged in the right eye of each one of them. The star was so bright that none of them could tell where it was burning in the sky, or whether it was burning in the sky or their own imaginations. But they were wise enough to know it did not matter all that much. The point was something beyond them was calling them, and it was a tug they had been waiting for all their lives. Each in his own country had tried books, tried magic, tried astrology. One had lived on nothing but dried herbs boiled in water. Another had spent his entire fortune learning how to read and write in an ancient language. The third had learned to walk on hot coals, though it did nothing for him beyond the great sense of relief he felt at the end. Despite their best efforts, all 3 of them still felt that something was missing. They were all glad for a reason to get out of town, which was clearly where the star was calling them, out, away from everything they knew how to manage and survive, out from under the reputations they had built for themselves, the high expectations, the disappointing returns. And so they set out, one by one, each believing that he was the only one with a star in his eye, until they all ran into another on a road to Jerusalem. From the distance, each thought the other to be a mirage at first, the twinkling reflection made out of vapor and heat. But as they drew near to one another, they saw the star they had in common, like a tattoo or a secret handshake, something that made them brothers before they spoke. They all believed that the star was leading them to Jerusalem. This made perfect sense because they had every reason to believe they were on their way to meet a king. They had no trouble gaining entrance into the palace. They looked rich, and that was enough to get them a royal audience. But the king they met was something of a disappointment. He was lumpy and rumpled, and he had terrible breath. His skin looked like a funny orange color and sickly, as if his bile had gotten the best of him. The guards on either side of him shook in fear of their king, so much that their spears rattled against their shields. Without even comparing notes, the wise men knew he was not the person they were looking for. "Do you know of any other kings in the general area?" they asked him. Oh! He had been picking at his fingernails until then, letting them know how bored he was, but their question got his attention. He looked right at them for the first time. That was when he saw the star in each of their eyes. His own eyes grew perfectly round, like the eye of a snake. The king asked the wise men if they would please excuse him for a moment. Then he stepped into his private chapel to confer with his clergy. They whipped out their old reference books, which smelled of mold, and told the king what he wanted to know. Yes, they said, there was something in the book of Micah about a new ruler for Israel, but nothing to get excited about. It was short. It had been there for a long time. It was unlikely that the men in the other room were fulfilling that prophecy. But sure, why not? Send the wise men to Bethlehem to check it out, to save the king a little money instead of doing his own research. So that was what the king did. He gargled, combed his hair, and went back to tell the wise men they should go to Bethlehem at once, with his blessing on one condition, that they had to come back and tell him who his successor was, so that he could send flowers to the new king. His breath smelled like pine sol when he said it, which made the wise men feel queasy. They knew something was not right, but once they were back in the night air, they could see the star in the sky again, and it set their minds to rest. They followed it right to the doorway of a one-room house in Bethlehem. It was a perfectly nice place, modest but well-built, though not the kind of place where they had expected to find a king. A dog was sniffing at the wood pile under the eaves in the hopes of finding a mouse. Someone was practicing the lute next door, going over the same notes again and again. The smell of the dinner was still in the air. Wheat cakes cooked on the griddle, greased with sheep's fat, lentils, and lots of garlic and rice. The place looked so simple. They might never have chosen it themselves, but since the star had chosen it for them, they knocked. When the door opened, the couple standing behind it almost died of fright. Not that the wise men noticed. With their arms full of gifts, they crowded into the small space, bumping their turbans on the rafters and snagging their robes on the rough furniture. All they could see was the baby, who was not afraid and whose bright eyes shone with the same star they had seen before they had ever left home. It was him. Then, whoever he was. They did not have a clue, but they knew what to do. They got on their knees and bowed their heads. Then they gave him the things they had brought him, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. All the things they could see now, things he had no use for. They should have brought him goat's milk, a warm blanket, something shiny to hang above his crib. But how could they have guessed? The child's parents were gracious. They thanked the strangers for their expensive gifts and held them up for the baby to see. Then, to the wise men's complete surprise, the child's mother picked him up and handed him around, so that each of them held that damp, soft, living weight in his arms. When they were finished admiring him, she took her baby back, nursed him, and put him to bed. Then, before the light coming through the window of the house had entirely gone out, the three wise men fell asleep right where they sat. In the morning, when they awoke, the wise men could not find their stars anywhere. They searched each other's eyes, but the stars were gone. Frantically, they looked in all the corners under the chairs. The baby's mother even shook out his blankets, but still, no stars. Soon the wise men calmed down and said, "Never mind, we do not need them anymore." They had found what they were looking for, something they could not lose. As much as they hated to, they added, they had better be on their way. They would not be going back through Jerusalem, they said. All three of them had woken from the same identical dream, warning them to steer clear of the city. If anyone in Jerusalem knew anything at all, they would be here instead of there. Besides, none of the wise men's old maps worked anymore. They would have to find a new way home. So the wise men picked up their packs, which were lighter than before. Then they lined up in front of the baby to thank him for the gifts he had given them. "What in the world are you talking about?" the baby's mother said, laughing. "For the scent and weight and skin of the baby," said the first wise man, who had no interest in living on herbs anymore. "For this home and the love here," said the second wise man, who could not remember how to say it in an ancient language. "For a really great story," said the third wise man, who thought that telling it might do a lot more for him than walking on hot coals. Then the wise men walked outside, stretched, and kissed the baby goodbye, and went home by another way. So now we have another hymn, and we are going to practice this first. And then I'm going to do some narration, and then we'll have some back and forth. And you can find it's 261. Blue hymnal.
It's 1061 if you want to look in there too.
1061. What did I say? For so the children come, and so they have been coming always the same. They have come, born of the seed of a man and a woman. No angels herald their beginnings, no prophets predict their future courses, no wise men see a star to show where to find the babe that will save humankind. Yet each night a child is born is a holy night. Fathers, mothers, parents sitting beside their children's cribs feel glory in the sight of new life beginning. They ask, where and how will this new life end, or will it ever end? Is Each night a child is born is a holy night, a time for singing, a time for wondering, a time for worshiping. Each night a child is born is a holy night, a time for singing, a time for wondering, a time for worshiping. Each night a child is born is a holy night. So will you join me in a meditative or prayerful presence for this next minute? To the spirit of Christmas, we give thanks for bringing us in your warm embrace. Help us to be grounded and present to the family, the friends, and strangers in our midst. May we be refreshed again in this Christmas spirit. Amen and blessed be. Next is in our gray hymnal, or on the wall, 246, O Little Town of Bethlehem. Next is our time for stewardship, and usually I'm not the one to introduce this part, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about where this sometimes our giving goes to the ministerial discretionary fund. So I wanted, for those who don't know what this does, it's basically how we practice mutual aid. It allows for folks to be cared for and nourished by literally getting what they need through these funds. So this kind of ministry doesn't go on the website or have a cool Instagram post, but it's a quiet way of seeing each other and being in community with each other when folks come to me in need. And, I'm grateful to do that work and that you trust me to do that. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of, to ensure people have safe spaces to rest their heads, just like the kind of care Mary, Joseph, and Jesus needed. But you're doing that work for each other. So it's giving direct care.
We have Givelify, so that is the app, and you can show how to get that.
But yeah.
And it was a generous row, too. All right. Thank you, Brian. Could you please recite the dedication of gifts with me, as is printed on the screen? To the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these offerings. And we have another hymn because it is Christmas Eve, and this is Deck the Halls. It's number 235 in the Gray Hymnal if you need it. The next reading is from Luke. All went to their own towns to be registered. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged and who was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn son and wrapped him in bands of cloth and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn. And that's it. We have another hymn, number 244. It came upon the midnight clear. It is in your gray hymnal if you want to follow there.
Thank you.
forgot I didn't introduce myself. I'm the ministerial fellow. I'm Eden. So that's maybe some context if you don't know that. So for this reflection, I think there's a lot of things I could share. I could share many things about this famous family, but I'm not sure it all matters so much, all the details. I'm more interested in the story for the story's sake. I could share, some of these factual elements, like there wasn't a census during the time period that Luke says there is, but maybe it was important to the author of Luke to show the family were on their own odyssey. I could also point out how migrants were treated while traveling and examine where our own country is with that one. I could conjecture around what the author who wrote what Christians call the Book of Luke in the Christian Testament wanted. Maybe they wanted people to empathize with a family who is cast out. Maybe the author of Luke wanted us to hear a mother who was able to tell her own story surrounding the conception of her child and her pregnancy and a man who stepped up. Maybe they wanted us to hear that the presence of a reassurance and faith follows even in the darkest night. I could remind you that the wise men were magicians, or sometimes a pejorative term, honestly, but a term that Luke was using to tell his audience that there are people who are wise from other cultures and other places outside of here, and they could even see the mystical elements of this birth. I could unveil to you the motivations of how Luke was using the imagery from these stories within and without his culture to legitimize Jesus using a creative origin story. I could tell you the facts involving the 2nd century Roman philosopher Hippolytus decided that this would be, December 25th. That's a good time for Jesus to be born, because he was thinking that about this belief that God created everything during the week of Passover, because it was just the right amount of dark and light around the vernal equinox. I could also tell you about how Hippolytus decided that this would be a good time for Jesus to be conceived and created a calendar of Passovers coinciding with the vernal equinox, where he not only tried to map out where Jesus was celebrating the Passover, but also when Moses was celebrating them. That would be 800 years to 1,000 years before his time. His accuracy only extended 3 years before the calendar he created and 3 years after. But he did decide that the Passover occurred in the 2nd century before Common Era on April 2nd. And he decided Jesus would be born a little early, around December 25th, because this was the time that the Roman civil calendar decided the solstice. So it actually wasn't they knew it wasn't actually the solstice. They knew it was a little later, but they were like, this is how our country, how our government runs. So, when in Rome, literally. So there was, a cultural buy-in. Well, I do have to say the Armenian church still celebrates it on January 6th, according to the 9-month gestation process, but anyways, neither here nor there. But in all these facts, I can also point out that Hippolytus was simply trying to make meaning out of the stories he had with the tools he had. He was trying to create narrative of wholeness in the cosmic unknowing of time and space and stars and moon, day and night. And in doing so, created a story of wholeness for their new religion that believed Jesus was conceived on the same day he died. Somehow that wholeness spoke to them, and they needed to hold on to that. In sharing about Hippolytus, I could point out how some of the social media commentary that shows up around this time of year is dedicated to how Christians stole Christmas from the pagans, and concede that there is definitely portions of cultural overlap in the adaptation of holidays over time. People and their religions and cultures are layered. But what I think is interesting about all these facts and details that I could share with you, is I like that Hippolytus is courageous, or maybe presumptuous, honestly, like to believe that he can start to bend these powers of time and day and night and the calendar system and the numerical system and the astrology system. He was kind of confident enough to do it and to try it. And those are things that we do today, is use the tools we have to create meaning. His calendar wasn't correct. And I think to our modern ears, we could hear that and say, so what? Another dude who was wrong about something, but felt like he was really right about it at the time, and needed to make a massive statue about it, so everyone could see how he was right. But we can also see the permission he had to use these facts and bend them to the art of the story. And I think that's interesting. We're in a time of this period of information, and we have the tools and capacity to accurately measure things like a baby's heart beating during labor. We can track things, and most of the time we have an accurate view of what we can know that is accurate. But we're also in a time of conspiracy theories, of misinformation, of disinformation, and that are hurt. And these things and these tools can be hurtful. And I wonder if we can trace this earnestness of Hippolytus and his, audacity and confidence to try new things, to be in the moment with his time and his culture, and to find our own earnestness mirrored back. We are human. We create with what we have. For me, this time of year is a chance to experience the polarity, the wideness, and the vastness of being human. On early Monday morning, as most of you may know, Phil Embry went to the hospital with severe chest pains, and he has been through surgery today, and we're still waiting on some updates. But, it's a scary place to be in that unknowing. And we give thanks for the miracle of modern medicine. And also, for me, early on Monday morning, a good friend that I've made since moving here went into labor with her first child and had to have a C-section because the baby wasn't tolerating the birth very well. We have these amazing tools that accurately address the wide reach of the human experience, the light and the dark, the light in the dark. Miracles are happening all around us, and we are making that meaning together. And in that spirit, there will come a time at the end where we will sing. We have some more songs before the end. But we're gonna sing a silent night, and it's gonna come down, and we're gonna be with the gentleness of the darkness. And then at the end, we'll sing Joy to the World. And I want you to just notice the experience of that coming from the gentleness and the darkness into this bright joy, and hold both of them. So with that invitation, we will sing our next hymn in the Great Hymnal, or projected on the wall, 231, Angels We Have Heard on High. next hymn is in the gray hymnal, or on the wall, 251, Silent Night. Yes. Nathan. So may you find assurance to know that you're not alone in the vast experience of your humanity, of the light and the darkness. May we join together singing this last song, Joy to the World. Yay. We have no announcements. Great. We're out of slides. We're out of words. Let's go celebrate.
Every night with no announcements is a holy night.
Yes.